This is Harry Judd for Boxing Social in association with Betfred at Joe Gallagher's gym in Bolton, and I'm joined by the man himself, Joe Gallagher. First of all, away from the Saudi, all that stuff, a great night of boxing for your stable on Saturday.
Yeah, we were due to have 5 on. Obviously Callum Thompson got bit by a dog, he's out, but he's okay now, he had a tetanus. Jose Burton was quite unfortunate. We had an opponent, he'd fought the week before, and then on the Thursday the board said no, they weren't going to let him fight. His opponent had to go before the board, so we searched high up and low down all over the country, and we just couldn't get Jose Burton an opponent on Saturday night. But for the rest of them, the 3 of them, we called Marcus Morrison. Good to get him out 4 weeks before his big British title fight with Denzel Bentley. He hadn't fought since Sax Parker, shook the ring rust off, and boxed very well. Won on points, and that's what we want to do. We just need to get rounds. Macaulay McGowan back with a win. He'd been on the road. He'd been to, I think it's Pakistan, or then Kieran Conway, then Sergio Martinez. But he's back. He's got a win, and he's ready to go for the new season. And also Sean Yaxley. He scored. It was an unbelievable body shot, and like I've said to everyone, it's a shame it wasn't filmed, because it'd been like your top 20 knockouts of the year. It was just a well placed, beautiful shot that had the opponent rolling around for like nearly a minute. So that'll give Sean huge confidence, and improvements can be made, but work still has to be done. And as you're seeing today, Marcus was back in the gym, Macaulay was back in the gym. So it's on to 2 weeks' time with Natasha and Clark.
It's good to have big time boxing back in Bolton. Was it a co-promotion between you and Kieran, or what was it? Just Kieran's on his own, yeah.
Kieran Farrell's show, and we had kids on it. Yeah, it's Kieran's show, Vicious Promotions.
But again, good to have boxing back in Bolton.
Yeah, no, listen, it was a 12 fight card, 12 bouts, and it was a good turnout. I think there was a mad scramble at the end to get down the M60 for everyone to get home and see Joshua Usyk. Everyone was begging to be on first, second, third, fourth. No one wanted that 9th or 10th spot. I think what Croller's lad Bobby got 9th or 10th. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, it was a good night, and they're the type of shows that you need to give fighters tick over jobs, to keep them active, keep them work regular until the season kicks back in, like it does September the 3rd with your Sky, your Frank Warren shows, and your Matchroom shows.
Busy gym today, intense gym today. Good to see Mark and Marcus obviously sparring. Mark Heffron in a big fight soon.
Yeah, Mark Heffron is on the Joe Joyce Parker show. That's in 5 weeks, I think 4 weeks time now, this Saturday. And Mark, he's like what I call a fighter, like a goal scorer. He's red hot at the moment. Mark comes in, floats in, I should say, does his work, loves his work. He had good sparring with Marcus Morrison today. Marcus is obviously getting ready for his big fight with Denzel Bentley. Mark Heffron's been in with Denzel.
Does that make it easier to train Mark? Is there any insight that Mark can sort of give him himself?
There's things that Mark can tell us. We can study with things a little bit, but 2 different kids, and Marcus Morrison has got to have his plan. Marcus isn't Mark Heffron, but there's a few little pointers here and there. But Marcus Morrison, he's sparring there with the current British super middleweight champion. Sparring up has been, it's great in-house sparring for Marcus. So yeah, it's good work, and there was no holding back. If you've seen it today, like they were both letting it go. So Marcus is in a good place. Like I say, he sparred Saturday night, and he was in doing 6 rounds with Mark Heffron today. So Marcus Morrison is really focused and really intent on going down there and causing the upset.
He did pads, right, I've heard, after the 4 rounds he did on Saturday. You told me he did bag work or pads, is that correct?
Yeah, that's right. We used the fight as a sparring session, and then straight away upstairs, and then he did 4 rounds on the pads. So we did a good 8 rounds Saturday night. Yeah. So and then he was in today. So that was it. It doesn't mean he fought and then he this, because Marcus walks around at the weight anyway, so there's no blowing up, blowing down. So it's part of the programme where we are now. We're at 8 round level, do you know what I mean? And he's ready to step up.
Is that where we see him now, 160 for Marcus?
Yeah, it's always been his weight, 160. It was an opportunity that presented itself at 168. It was at Parker, and sometimes when someone like Marcus Morrison, like I say, who's a puncher and can punch, and acquitted himself very well against Eubank Jr., it's an opportunity, and you just think to yourself, well, Seth Parker, talented, good kid, seen him in a couple of tough fights, and I thought, right, okay then, but listen, it was at Parker, it was just too big. You could see that time he got in the ring and then he filled out and everything. I think Marcus got in the ring at 12 stone, so it didn't put much on Marcus. He was at the weight that he weighed in at, so it's Yeah, that's his weight, middleweight.
Someone else that was in the gym today is Charlie Edwards. You signed a management deal with Charlie Edwards I think it was in March, or it was only a few months ago, but great to see him in the gym again.
Yeah, no, Charlie's in the gym. He's been in now a good few weeks. He's training. He was training in Portugal. His partner's away on holiday, seeing a family in Sweden. So Charlie's in here. He's training. He's been doing his S&C work. He's been doing bag work. He did pad work today. He's been in bar bag, and now he's ready to start sparring. So he's got to start sparring hopefully at the end of this week. And yeah, he's in the gym. And like I say to all the fighters, no one's got to give a Gallagher's gym fighter 12 weeks notice. No one is. You've got to be ready. The phone's got to go, and you've got to get 3 or 4 weeks. And it's up to you to be ready. And very much old school. I'm not a big believer in just disappearing. You've got to be in the gym. As you've seen, everyone was in the gym today, and same for Charlie. You cannot allow anyone phone you up and say we've got a date, and you say, oh, I'm not ready, because they'll use it against you. So Charlie's in, he's training, and the phone goes, he'll be ready.
Someone else that's in the gym, she's currently doing interviews up behind this window, is Natasha Jonas. Big fight on September 3rd in Liverpool for her.
Yeah, massive fight, a real tough fight. No gimme this. Patricia Biogal, very good champion, undefeated, very good amateur, been in the amateur circuit a long time. And she's not someone who's got to come over here just to give a WBC belt up. Do you know what I mean? She was due to fight Cecilia Brackhouse. She wants the big fights herself. You could see the appetite for that. That Brackhouse falls apart. So she goes, all right, then I'll step in with Natasha Jonas. So she thinks she's got a win. Natasha thinks she's got a win. I see it as a real 50-50 fight. It's whoever can implement the game plan on the night will win the fight, but it's a very close one to call.
We have to mention the big fight of the weekend. AJ Usyk, I've been dying to ask you questions.
Ask me.
Yeah, dying to ask you. Yeah. What's your initial thoughts on it, Joe?
Yeah, listen, I thought brilliant by Usyk again, absolutely brilliant. The conditioning and the recovery, his recovery in them minutes was fantastic. Just when you thought AJ was getting to him, and you've got to give credit to AJ, he made improvements. He was better this time than he was last time, but it still wasn't good enough for someone like Alexander Usyk. As much as Anthony improved, Alexander Usyk had improved. And that 9th round when AJ was going and letting the hands go, he let them go and he caught 1 or 2, but Usyk, he slipped and rode and pulled out, and not many landed, although they looked good, not many good. But for Usyk then to come out and go, all right then, is this how you want it? Let's have it. Let's come out and dominate. That round 10 could easily have been a 10-8 round that was so one-sided. But his recovery in that minute, his conditioning was unbelievable. But like I said, the right man won on the night. I scored it 116, 112. I think most of the people did. It was funny because I rushed home from Bolton, you're watching it, and at the same time you're seeing what everyone else is saying. And I seen Adam Booth put something out, I think it was like 4-0 or 4-1 or something. I thought, yeah, I've got it similar to that type of thing. That was it. And then you read in the corner and you go, they're saying he's winning 3-0. You're thinking, 3-0? I think that's what made me start going on social media. So then I seen Adam Booth going, oh, like 4-0, and other people going like 4-1 or 3-0 to Usyk. So I'm saying 3-0. And like, so the whole world was sort of like saying, social media, what fight are they thinking in the corner? But the only one person that saw it 3-0 with them was the judge. And I just thought to myself, wow, that's mad that. I don't know where he was sat or whether he was heavily influenced by what they were saying in the corner, but I think he was the only one, as well as the corner, to think it was 3-0. And then he had him 5-1 after 6, and I had it 8-4, 116, 112, and that was it. I thought Usyk was just brilliant.
What did you make of that 116, was it 115, 113 Usyk? What did you make of that scorecard?
Yeah, I just couldn't believe it. And when they said it, I'm not saying that was the American ref, and he's a very good judge. He's always involved in all the big fights, scorecards, very good. I was really surprised how he's seen that 115. I know in America like the aggression, but AJ was coming forward. We weren't throwing anything. Yeah, Usyk was like a bit of a Mayweather on the back foot, pitching, pot shot, nitpicking, and I just thought it was just class. Yeah, it was quite disturbing, and thank God Steve Gray and the other one saw it for Usyk, because that would have been a huge travesty. There was huge ramifications and outcries over Jack Cattrall and Josh Taylor.
Yeah.
Wow, we nearly had it Saturday night, and that would have been so embarrassing for the sport of boxing.
One of the things that was the problem was the canvas. We saw Zhang and Hrgovic struggle with that. We see Usyk slip as well. That was a poor show, you thought, by that one?
Yeah, I think so. Sometimes when the canvases are done and the sponsors and the printed and everything else, I'm very aware when I go in the ring, I always kick the toe bones, I always run my feet over where the sponsorship is to see whether it's slippy with water or anything. So I don't know whether they painted it on or whatever. But also sometimes in the huge event, a canvas goes over, a fresh canvas, so that's a little bit of a worry for future fights. But anyway, no one come to no harm anyway, and it would have been a shame that if anyone was to slip and then got caught and knocked out and all that. But like I say, the right man won on the night.
What did you make of the aftermath? The walking out the ring, the throwing of the belts. What did you make of all that from AJ?
It was just unbelievable watching it. I think what AJ... There's two things really. When he got out and walked, he should have kept on walking.
Yeah.
That was it. He should have just kept on walking. Whoever pulled him back in shouldn't have pulled him back in. Should just let him get walking and let him, like all fighters do when they lose, have had it here, quick, crawl at everyone. They're smashing lockers' doors, they're fucking punching walls. They're all doing it. No one likes to lose. But to pull him back in, was ringing. But then when he grabbed the mic and started going on, I was like, well, who's head of security? Where's Eddie Hearn? Where's Garcia? Where's Hernandez? Get up to him and take that mic off him. So allow him go around. And I just thought, this is Alexander Usyk's moment. What he's been through this last 12 months, being in a war representing his country, Ukraine, against Russia, and Anthony Joshua's getting in the ring and taking his mic and talking about he isn't a 14 stone and his time in the Watford pen, and it just wasn't hip hooray. It just wasn't right, and I feel Fraser Clark called it right. His team let him down, and Eddie Hearn, when he's sitting at the press conference, I'm not digging Eddie Hearn out, but he's his spokesman for him. He's his promoter. He should have ran over and got that mic and went, AJ, come on, give me this mic. And he took the mic and spoke about it and give it Usyk, do you understand? So, to sort of like all let him out to dry, but no one really wanted to say anything. And to get the belts and throw them out of the ring, who gave him the belts to throw out the ring? And to talk like he did, and it just ruined Alexander Usyk's moment. Alexander Usyk had just defended his world titles. He had live stream in Ukraine. The Ukrainian people were full of joy. They wanted to hear their world champion talk. We wanted to hear the world champion talk. If it would have been any other fighter...
If it was the other way around... If it was
I'll say a name now, rightly or wrongly, but people think, if that would have been Tyson Fury, that ran out the ring, ran back in, thrown belts out, grabbed the mic, they would have been giving him shit. Absolutely hell and shit. The fact that they didn't, and they were saying, oh, this and that, I think they're all careful, the sponsors talking about, but I think they all would have gone in on him. All would have gone in on him. And they're saying, when you're reading people, oh, listen, whether he was concussed, we understand you heard that there was an incident when he was walking through the tunnel. Whoever it was said, come on, Anthony, keep it professional. I'm sure it was said in a way, come on, keep it together, and be professional, like there's cameras around or whatever, in a nice way. I don't think it was said in a malicious way, I may be wrong, but to turn again on them, and it was just like, everyone hurts. But they go back to the changing room, head over the towel, the cry, the breakdown, everyone, Van Natasha getting out there. But it was hard to see, it was hard to see. And people say mental breakdown, I wouldn't say mental breakdown. I think fighters on small hall shows that are struggling to sell tickets to cover their opponents, to fight and give promotion, then are fighting for nothing. I think they're proper mental health issues. I think losing and 50 million in the bank will soon take care of that a little bit. I think it was just a case of there's people around him that really didn't say, no, you lost that, or tell the truth. And we've said it all along, there's sometimes that was it, but listen, it isn't nice to say, and like I said there, he should never have been allowed back in the ring. If they all thought he was like that, get him out of the cameras, get him in the change room, don't bring him back, get him in there and smash the change room up to bits, away from anyone, everyone, but don't bring him back in the ring and let him fucking throw himself under a bus and everyone stand back and just watch himself explode. There's a lot in that team around Anthony Joshua that are there for him, to look after him, care for him, make money from him, and they all let him down the other night, I feel.
How much has it damaged his profile? Not the loss. Arguably, he lost to a tremendous fighter. The fight in itself, he's got a lot of respect for. Everyone's saying it's Joshua's best performance, but in terms of the outburst, has it affected Joshua's profile anymore?
There's nothing. I wouldn't say it was Joshua's best performance of the night neither. It wasn't Joshua's best. I've seen Joshua perform better than that. But what we're saying is, in the two fights, he was better in the second fight with Usyk than he was in the first fight. Improvements had been made, but it wasn't the best Anthony Joshua. There's fighters there. Anthony Joshua turned up to fight like that the other night. He was. There's different fights where Anthony Joshua's performed really well and flew and great, and he's had the wins with them. But that wasn't the best Anthony Joshua the night. It was a better Anthony Joshua against Alexander Usyk, but not necessarily the best Anthony Joshua. So has it damaged his profile? I think everybody on TV and commentary and Sky are doing the best to put it through all he loses and stuff like that. But like I said to you before, other people will be getting thrown under the bus and thinking I know there's a pressure, but Anthony Joshua isn't the only fighter that's come from a tough background. I think every professional fighter's come from a council estate. I think there's a lot of professional fighters that have been on the wrong side of the law. I think there's a lot of professional fighters in the world that have been under the spotlight. There's a lot of professional fighters that have sold out stadiums before. People are talking at Anthony Joshua, he's the first one to do all that. I think in Britain, even going back to Frank Bruno, Ben Eubank, Ricky Hatton, Joe Calzaghe, Nazim Hamid, and one here, Amir Khan, 17-year-old Olympian coming back, his dad wearing a waistcoat, being part of Tony Blair's Britain, being under the microscope, watching everything he does, Amir, selling out stadiums, going in against the best, Amir Khan under the spotlight. So it's not like no one knows. Fighters have gone before it, Carl Froch fighting Kessler, everything, they've all been there before, they've all been before. It's part and parcel of the sport, and no one likes losing, no one. And I'm sure Carl Froch just took hinges off doors, Ricky Hatton has. It's hard to deal with, and listen, that's boxing. You can't take it, runs with it. You have the highs and you have the lows, and someone said once, is the high worth all the lows? And it is, but the lows, they're really low. And I think Anthony Joshua, I feel the frustration, I get it, because he had a perfect camp, he did everything, he spent money, he went brilliant, and he didn't get the decision. I had it with Macklin against Sturm in Germany. Matthew Macklin had the perfect camp, perfect tactics, and won, and they robbed him blind. And it just shows you sometimes, even if you do everything right, you're not guaranteed success. Anthony Joshua down the line might fight and not fight his best. Not everything might go to plan, but he'll pull out a win. So just because everything goes perfect doesn't necessarily mean the end result. And I think that lack of frustration came out of him the other night more than mental health issues.
Why, with what just being said there, why mention where he's come from? Why mention that in his post-fight? Yeah, why mention it at all?
I think he wanted to explain to the world, look, I was here, I went to jail, I come out of jail, I went to the Olympics, I become a world champion, I came back and became a world champion again, I did everything to become a world champion again, but I can't tell that story that I'm now a 3-time world champion. I've lost to Alexander Usyk, but it's all got to be about Usyk, and it wasn't really, was it? I feel sorry that Alexander Usyk didn't have his moment. He didn't have his moment, and like I said to you, they should have kept AJ walking at that changing room or not giving the mic. And a lot of people let AJ down there, and if they cared about him, you wouldn't have let him back in that ring. You would have said, keep walking, keep walking. And we've seen loads of fighters over the years lose and storm out of the ring, not happy with decisions and everything else, and everyone was, look at him, smacked ass for losing, smacked ass. But I'm also saying smacked ass this weekend.
What did you make of the event in general, there was a lot of talk around having it in Saudi, but what did you make of the event in itself?
Well, I've been there before with the World Box Super Series with Callum Smith. It was a great venue, a lucky venue for Callum Smith, it turns out to be now.
Great performance.
And there's a joke, isn't there, about the Callum Smith curse of AJ being on the undercards, isn't there? As soon as Callum Smith won again the other night with a knockout, it was like, oh, AJ's losing now. Do you know what I mean? So I think first and foremost, moving forward with AJ, you shouldn't have Callum on his undercard. That's 3 times now. They're not
that's true.
Yeah, they're not learning the lesson, are they? So, yeah, listen, you can see over there the event, it didn't seem packed out or sold out. I'm not sure. I don't know about that, but like you say, you only taking your experiences over there. When I was over there with Callum, they treat you very well, very, very well. The training facilities are first class. The people are very appreciative, and yeah, you can't really say anything bad about it.
Joshua mentioned he wants to be out in December. A lot of people are saying have some time off, get away from the sport for a while, but is that just elongating the pain of the loss? Do you think he should be back in 3 to 4 weeks? What do you think should happen?
Okay, there's a couple of things to that. One, I can understand, get back on the horse straight away. I think promotionally wise, TV wise, the longer he doesn't fight, all they've got to be talking about is losing to Usyk. The quicker they get out and fight and win and look good winning, and he can carry on what he's learned here, building blocks and perform against someone else and look sensational, then you're talking about that fight. But until he has that fight, we're talking about his loss with Usyk, and we're talking about the dramas in the ring afterwards. So I can understand to get him out quick, because that then becomes yesterday's fish and chip paper, and getting Usyk, AJ out. Who does AJ go out against? Well, there's the Dylan White fight. I think that would be the fight, because it'd be like, right, okay then, can we beat Dylan better than what Tyson Fury did in the same year? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
A bit like Ben Eubank years ago. Ben beat someone, then Eubank fought him, or vice versa. Do you understand? So I think Dylan White must be the red hot favourite to get that fight. But I think for him to get himself in a position to become a world champion, there's lots of mandatories, as you've seen at the weekend in the ring, the Chang and that. They're all mandatory positions. Obviously Parker and Joyce, they've been in a strong position, and Deontay Wilder, I'm sure he'll become a mandatory for the WBC. So I don't think it's got to be straightforward. He wins thing. There's mandatories already there, mandatories that if then belts become vacant, that they'll be fighting 1 and 2. I think AJ has to get a win and make himself number 2. That'll become mandatory, and the next kid in line, do you know what I mean, a 1 and a 2 for whichever governing body. So he'll know better himself. He'll want to get in again, and I think he want to go in and show off and show what he really did. And there was times in that fight with AJ that he thought, he let his hands go quick, he countered well. I thought his defence was very good over his backhand. He was getting caught with the left hand over the top an awful lot in the first fight, but Usyk spin and AJ walking around, he kept this right hand tight very well. There was lots of good stuff AJ did in the fight, and I think he wants to go and show everyone more that he didn't show that he has got in his locker now the other night. So I can see them wanting to do that again, yeah.
Moving on, we're now all gunning for the Fury-Usyk fight. You called it on your social media straight after the fight. You wasn't really impressed as much with Usyk, perhaps as you was in the first fight. You think that Tyson has probably watched that fight the weekend and gone, I tell you what, I fancy myself against Usyk.
Yeah, no, definitely. I just think Tyson's frame, I think he's a lot looser. I think he uses his jab more. He's got more mobility, upper body mobility. He won't be getting caught with them straight arrows like AJ was. I think Tyson's a big man. Tyson can push Deontay Wilder back to the ropes. He'll push Usyk to the ropes. And when Usyk spins off, Tyson will be there again. When he moves, he's going to be there again. What I was impressed with Usyk early on, AJ put to him, tried to put the squeeze on, but Usyk physically pushed AJ off. Like, don't try throwing that body weight on top of me. I'm just as strong as you. So Tyson would be coming, throwing a lot longer arrows, shorter arrows, hitting the body with combinations, and has got quicker reflexes. And I just think that's a very interesting fight. People say it could be a boring fight, but I don't think it will. I think Tyson has the mentality, I'm the bigger man, I'm pushing you back. He's seen when AJ pushed him back, he had some type of success. I think Tyson could do that for 12 rounds. I think it would be a very much Evander Holyfield, Riddick Bowe type of fight. I really do.
Is that a knockout fight, or do you reckon Usyk comes through and it's a points decision? Because, like you said, Usyk's recovery rate is extremely well, but against Fury, do you really think that's going to be the same?
I think he'll train because he'll know Tyson Fury. Tyson Fury set a hell of a pace against Deontay Wilder 2 and 3, and the third fight was unbelievable. And Alexander Usyk, so I think the conditioning of both of them will be very good. And like I just said to you there, it most probably like a Bo Holyfield type of fight, 12 rounds, all action, and I'd definitely pay to see that. I just think that's got to happen now. We're at a stage now where everyone wants to see Mayweather Pacquiao, everyone wants to see Crawford and Spence. We all want to see now Tyson Usyk. That's the fight, and it'd be unbelievable if it happened.